Admiral Kate Morrison sat in her office aboard the space station New Geneva. The station floated high above Earth, spinning slowly in the darkness of space. Kate looked out the large window at the blue planet below. It was morning in North America, and she could see the white clouds swirling over the continent. For 50 years, Earth had been part of the Galactic Council. It was a big group of alien worlds that worked together across the galaxy. Earth was small compared to the other worlds. The humans mainly grew food and mined metals to trade with the aliens. In return, the aliens gave them advanced technology and protection from dangerous species in space. Kate was reading reports about corn shipments to the vegan colonies when her desk computer started beeping. A red light flashed on the screen. This meant an emergency message was coming from the Galactic Council headquarters. The screen flickered and showed a tall alien figure. It was Ambassador Zethkar from the Catherian Empire. The Catherians looked like giant lizards that walked on 2 legs. They had green scales and yellow eyes. Zethkar was wearing the gold robes that showed he was an important leader. "Admiral Morrison," Zethkar said in his deep voice, "I bring an official message from the Galactic Council. Your planet has 30 days to make a choice." Kate frowned. This did not sound good. What kind of choice, Ambassador? Earth must give up its independence and become a direct colony of the Catherian Empire. You will no longer govern yourselves. We will rule your world directly. Zethkar's yellow eyes seemed to glow as he spoke. This is not a request. It is a command. Kate felt her heart beat faster. Why? What has Earth done? Wrong? Your people breed too fast. You use too many resources. The Council has decided that humans are a threat to galactic stability. Zethkar raised one clawed hand. Many other worlds have already agreed to become our colonies. It is better to join willingly than to resist. And if we refuse? Kate asked, though she already knew the answer. Then the Council fleet will come to your world. You will be conquered by force. Your cities will be bombed. Your people will be enslaved. Zethkar showed his sharp teeth in what might have been a smile. Choose wisely, Admiral. You have 30 days. The screen went black. Kate sat in silence for a long moment. Then she reached for her secure communication device. She pressed a button that would connect her to the most secret military base in the solar system. This is Admiral Morrison. Connect me to Captain Phillips immediately. The voice that answered was calm and steady. Admiral, this is Captain Jake Phillips of the USS Liberty. I've been expecting your call. Kate took a deep breath. The aliens have given us an ultimatum. 30 days to surrender or face invasion. Understood. How large is their fleet? Intelligence reports suggest at least 3,000 ships from 12 different species. They're already moving into position around our solar system. Jake was quiet for a moment. Admiral, are you giving me permission to activate the Liberty and prepare for combat? Kate looked out the window again at the peaceful Earth below. Soon it might be under attack. But the aliens had made one very big mistake. They thought Earth was weak and helpless. They had no idea what humans had been building in secret for the past 20 years. Yes, Captain. Activate the Liberty. It's time to show the galaxy what Earth is really capable of. Far out in the asteroid belt, between Mars and Jupiter, something stirred inside what looked like a regular space rock. The asteroid was huge, almost 10 kilometers across, but it was hollow inside. For 20 years, human workers had been digging it out and building something incredible within it. Captain Jake Phillips stood on the command bridge of the USS Liberty. The ship was enormous. It stretched 15 kilometers from front to back. The hangar bays could hold 10,000 fighter ships. The crew was 50,000 of the best soldiers, pilots, and engineers that Earth had ever trained. "Sir," said his second in command, Commander Amy Foster. All systems are coming online. The quantum disruption weapons are ready. The fighter squadrons are preparing for launch. Jake nodded. The Liberty was not just a ship. It was humanity's greatest secret. Weapon. The aliens thought Earth only had a few hundred old warships for defense. They had no idea that humans had been preparing for this day for decades. Dr. Lisa Crawford worked in the ship's weapons laboratory, deep inside the Liberty. She was the scientist who had invented the quantum disruption technology. These weapons could shut down alien shields and computers without warning. The aliens had never seen anything like them. The quantum field generators are stable, she told her team. When we fire these weapons, the alien ships will lose power completely. Their shields will fail. Their engines will stop. They'll be sitting ducks. The secret was that humans had been studying alien technology for years. They had found a weakness that the aliens didn't even know existed. Every alien ship in the galaxy used the same basic quantum field technology, and Dr. Crawford had found a way to disrupt it. President Dan Cooper was in the White House, meeting with his top advisors. He was a tall man with gray hair and serious eyes. He had known about the Liberty Project since he took office. "Mr. President," said his military advisor, General Bob Turner, "the alien fleet is taking position around Earth. They expect us to surrender without a fight." "Are they in for a surprise?" Cooper said grimly. "How long until the Liberty is ready?" "Captain Phillips reports that all systems will be online within 6 hours. The hidden fleet is also preparing to emerge from the asteroid belt." Cooper stood up and walked to the window. Outside, people were going about their normal lives. They had no idea that alien warships were surrounding their world. But they also had no idea that their military had been preparing for this moment for 20 years. "General, I want you to send a message to all our hidden bases. Tell them to prepare for Operation Revelation. It's time to show the galaxy that Earth is not the weak farming world they think we are." The alien fleet was massive. Admiral Vextil commanded the Catherian dreadnought Sword of Dominion. He was a veteran of 100 battles. To him, conquering Earth would be easy. The humans had no real military. They were farmers and miners, not warriors. "Admiral," said his tactical officer, "our scouts report that the human defense fleet is moving away from Earth. They appear to be retreating toward the outer solar system." Vexthal laughed. "Of course they are running. They know they cannot fight us. Order the fleet to advance. We will be in orbit around Earth within 2 days." But Admiral Vexthal was wrong. The human ships were not retreating. They were moving into position for the greatest military surprise in galactic history. In the asteroid belt, the USS Liberty was powering up its massive engines. Soon, the aliens would learn that they had made a terrible mistake. Earth looked peaceful from space, but hidden in the rocks and darkness of the asteroid belt, humanity was preparing to fight for its freedom. The aliens thought they were conquering a weak world. Instead, they were walking into a trap that had been 20 years in the making. The alien fleet moved through space like a dark cloud. 3,000 warships from 12 different species surrounded Earth's solar system. The ships were huge and powerful. Some were as long as cities. Others looked like giant insects with metal wings. The Catherian ships were the largest, with thick armor and massive weapons. Admiral Vexthal stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Sword of Dominion. The ship was 2 kilometers long and covered in weapon turrets. He had conquered 47 worlds in his long career. Earth would be number 48. "Status report," he ordered his crew. "All ships are in position around the human solar system," reported his tactical officer, Sub-Commander Clark H. "The human defense fleet appears to be retreating toward the outer planets." Vexthal looked at the display screen. It showed the positions of all the ships in the system. The human fleet was small, maybe 200 ships. They were old designs, nothing that could threaten his massive armada. "The humans are cowards," he said. "They run before we even attack. This will be easier than I thought." On Earth, President Dan Cooper stood in the Situation Room beneath the White House. The room was filled with screens showing the alien fleet. Military officers and advisors sat around a large table. Everyone looked tense. "Mr. President," said General Turner, "the alien fleet has passed the orbit of Mars. They will reach Earth in 18 hours. Cooper nodded. He pressed a button on his desk. "Get me Captain Phillips." The screen flickered and showed the bridge of the USS Liberty. Captain Jake Phillips appeared, wearing his black uniform with the Earth Defense Force insignia. "Mr. President, the Liberty is ready for combat. All systems are online. The crew is at battle stations." "What about the rest of the hidden fleet?" 47 ships are concealed throughout the asteroid belt. We have 12 carriers, 20 destroyers, and 15 support vessels. The aliens have no idea we're here." Cooper took a deep breath. "Captain, I'm about to give the aliens our final answer. Are you ready to back up my words with action?" "Yes, sir." "Earth will not bow to alien threats." Cooper ended the call and turned to his communications officer. "Open a channel to the Galactic Council. Broadcast this message to every world in the galaxy." The president walked to the podium. Behind him was the flag of Earth, showing the blue planet against a field of stars. Cooper had practiced this speech many times. He knew the words would either save Earth or doom it. "People of the galaxy," he began. "I am President Dan Cooper of Earth. Today, the Galactic Council has demanded that humanity surrender its freedom. They want us to become slaves to the Githerian Empire. They threaten to destroy our cities and enslave our people if we refuse." Cooper's voice grew stronger. "But we do refuse. Earth will never bow to tyranny. We have lived in peace for 50 years, trading honestly with all species. We have asked for nothing but friendship. If the Council wants war, they will have it." He paused and looked directly into the camera. "To the alien fleet surrounding our world, I give you 24 hours to leave our solar system. If you do not withdraw, you will face the consequences of your aggression. Earth stands ready to defend itself." The message was broadcast across the galaxy. On 1,000 worlds, aliens watched in amazement. The humans were refusing to surrender. It seemed impossible. How could one small world challenge the might of the Galactic Council? Admiral Vexthal laughed when he heard the message. "The humans are insane. Do they think their few hundred ships can fight 3,000? Order the fleet to advance. We will show them the price of defiance." The alien armada moved deeper into the solar system. The ships spread out in a massive formation, ready to surround Earth. Vexthal planned to destroy the human defense fleet first, and bomb Earth's major cities. The humans would surrender quickly once they saw their world burning. "Admiral," reported Clarth, "the human fleet is continuing to retreat. They have passed the orbit of Jupiter. They appear to be heading for the asteroid belt. Perfect. We will trap them there and destroy them all at once. Signal all ships to increase speed. I want this battle finished quickly." But in the asteroid belt, something incredible was happening. Captain Phillips stood on the bridge of the Liberty, watching as his crew prepared for the greatest military operation in human history. "Commander Foster," he said to his tactical officer, "are all ships ready?" Amy Foster checked her instruments. "Yes, sir. All 48 vessels are in position. The quantum disruption weapons are charged and ready. Fighter squadrons are prepared to launch. Dr. Crawford, what is the status of our secret weapons?" Dr. Lisa Crawford looked up from her control panel. "The quantum field disruptors are online and calibrated. When we fire, Every alien ship in range will lose power. Their shields will fail. Their engines will stop. They'll be helpless. Phillips nodded. The plan was simple but brilliant. The aliens thought they were chasing a weak human fleet into the asteroid belt. Instead, they were flying into the biggest trap in galactic history. All stations, prepare for Operation Revelation. In 5 minutes, we show the galaxy what Earth is really capable of. Around the asteroid belt, what looked like ordinary space rocks began to change. Massive sections of stone fell away, revealing the hidden human fleet. The USS Liberty was the largest, but it was not alone. Dozens of smaller carriers and destroyers had been hidden throughout the asteroid field. The Liberty's transformation was amazing to watch. The fake asteroid shell split apart and fell away. Beneath it was revealed the most powerful warship ever built. The ship was 15 kilometers long and covered in weapon turrets. Its hull was dark gray with the Earth Defense Force logo painted on the side. "Sir," reported the weapons officer, "the Liberty is fully revealed. All hidden ships are powering up their engines." Phillips smiled. "Signal the fleet. It's time to defend Earth." Admiral Vexthal was studying the tactical display when his sensor officer started shouting, "Admiral!" Massive energy signatures appearing throughout the asteroid belt. "Unknown ships are powering up." Vexthal looked at the screen in shock. Where? There had been empty space and floating rocks. Dozens of human warships were appearing. The largest was enormous, bigger than any ship he had ever seen. "How is this possible?" he whispered. "Where did they come from?" The answer came in the form of a transmission from the massive human ship. Captain Phillips appeared on the screen, his face calm and determined. "Admiral Vexthal, I am Captain Jake Phillips of the USS Liberty. You have entered human space with hostile intent. I am ordering you to withdraw immediately or face the consequences." Vexthal stared at the human captain. "You dare threaten me? I command 3,000 ships. You are outnumbered 60 to 1. Numbers don't always win battles, Admiral. You're about to learn that lesson." The transmission ended. Vexthal looked at his tactical display again. The human fleet was small, but something about those ships worried him. They looked different from anything he had seen before. More advanced, more dangerous. "All ships, prepare for combat," he ordered. "We will crush these humans and show the galaxy what happens to those who defy the Gatherian Empire." But as the alien fleet advanced toward the asteroid belt, they had no idea what they were flying into. The humans had spent 20 years preparing for this moment. They had built weapons that could disable alien technology. They had trained their crews to fight against impossible odds. Most importantly, they had the element of surprise. The aliens expected to fight a weak, primitive enemy. Instead, they were about to face the most advanced military force in the galaxy. USS Liberty's engines glowed brighter as the massive ship began to move. Around it, the hidden human fleet emerged from their hiding places among the asteroids. The trap was set. The aliens were walking into it. The battle for Earth was about to begin. The USS Liberty moved through space like a giant metal mountain. Its massive hull caught the light from the distant sun, making it gleam like polished steel. Captain Jake Phillips stood on the bridge, watching the alien fleet approach. 3,000 enemy ships spread across space in a formation that looked like a deadly cloud. "Distance to enemy fleet?" Phillips asked. 50,000 kilometers and closing," reported Commander Amy Foster. "They're moving in attack formation. All weapon systems are powered up." Phillips nodded. "Dr. Crawford, are the quantum disruptors ready?" Dr. Lisa Crawford checked her instruments one last time. "All systems are green, Captain. The quantum field generators are at full power. When we fire, every alien ship in range will lose power instantly." "Excellent. Signal all ships in the hidden fleet. Operation Revelation begins now. The Liberty's weapon courts opened along its massive hull. Dozens of turrets emerged, each one housing a quantum disruption cannon. These weapons were humanity's greatest secret. They could shut down alien technology by disrupting the quantum fields that powered their ships. Admiral Vexthul watched the human fleet from his command bridge. The ships looked strange and dangerous, but he commanded 3,000 vessels. No force in the galaxy could stand against such numbers. All ships target the large human vessel, he ordered. We will destroy their flagship first, and the rest will surrender. The alien fleet opened fire. Thousands of energy beams and missiles streaked through space toward the Liberty. The attack was so massive that it lit up the darkness like a deadly fireworks display. But the Liberty was ready. Its defensive shields glowed bright blue as they absorbed the incoming fire. The ship's armor was unlike anything the aliens had seen before. It was made from materials found only in Earth's asteroid belt, stronger than anything in the galaxy. Shields. Holding at 80%, reported the defense officer. Hull armor is intact. Phillips smiled. Their weapons are exactly what we expected. Return fire. All ships engage the enemy. The Liberty's quantum disruption cannons fired in perfect coordination. The weapons did not shoot energy beams or missiles. Instead, they sent out invisible waves that attacked the basic structure of matter itself. The alien ship's shields flickered and failed as the quantum fields that powered them collapsed. The effect was immediate and devastating. Hundreds of alien ships suddenly lost power. Their engines stopped. Their weapons went silent. Their life support systems failed. The ships drifted helplessly through space, their crews trapped inside dying vessels. What's happening? Vexthul shouted as his own ship's lights began to flicker. Why are our shields failing? His tactical officer, Clardache, checked his instruments. Frantically. Admiral, the humans are using some kind of new weapon. It's disrupting our quantum field generators. Ships throughout the fleet are losing power. Vexthul looked at the tactical display in horror. Red dots showed dead ships scattered throughout his formation. In the first minute of battle, he had lost over 400 vessels. Impossible, he whispered. No weapon can do this. But the human attack was just beginning. From the Liberty's massive hangar bays, thousands of fighter ships poured out like angry wasps. The fighters were small and fast, designed specifically to fight against alien technology. Squadron leader Rick Hayes led the first wave of fighters. He was Earth's best pilot, with reflexes enhanced by years of training in zero gravity. His squadron had practiced this attack countless times in simulation. Red Squadron, follow me, he said over the radio. Target the alien command ships. Remember, their shields are down. Hit them hard and fast. The human fighters swept through the alien formation, their advanced missiles and energy weapons causing massive damage. The alien ships tried to fight back, but their weapon systems were failing. The quantum disruption had left them nearly defenseless. On the Liberty's bridge, Phillips watched the battle unfold. The plan was working perfectly. 20 years of secret preparation were paying off. Commander Foster, what's our status? He asked. We've destroyed or disabled over 800 alien ships in the first 10 minutes. Our losses are minimal. Lee. Hidden Fleet is performing as expected. Throughout the asteroid belt, the other human ships were revealing themselves. Carriers launched more fighter squadrons. Destroyers fired their quantum weapons at alien cruisers. Support ships provided cover and repair services. Dr. Crawford worked frantically in the weapons control center. Each alien ship that was destroyed provided new data about their technology. She used this information to make the quantum weapons even more effective. Captain, she reported, I'm detecting at least 12 different alien shield technologies. Our weapons are adapting to counter. All of them. The enemy has no defense against quantum disruption. The battle was turning into a massacre. The aliens had expected to fight a weak human fleet with old weapons. Instead, they faced advanced technology that made their own ships useless. The quantum disruption weapons were beyond anything they had imagined. Admiral Vexthol tried to rally his forces, but it was hopeless. His flagship, the Sword of Dominion, was losing power. The massive dreadnought that had conquered 47 worlds was now drifting helplessly through space. All ships retreat, he ordered. Fall back to the outer system. We must regroup and call for reinforcements. But the human fleet would not let them escape easily. Phillips had planned for this moment. He knew the aliens would try to retreat. When they realized they were losing, all units, pursue the enemy. Don't let them escape. We need to capture as many ships as possible for intelligence. The Liberty's engines roared to life, pushing the massive ship forward at incredible speed. The hidden human fleet followed, chasing the retreating aliens through the asteroid belt. Rick Hayes and his fighters continued their attacks on the fleeing alien ships. The enemy vessels were easy targets without their shields. Human missiles found their marks with deadly accuracy. "This is too easy," Hayes said to his wingman. "They can't fight back at all." "Stay focused," his wingman replied. "The captain wants prisoners, not just wreckage." The chase continued for hours. The human fleet hunted down the scattered alien survivors, disabling their ships and capturing their crews. The aliens had never experienced such a complete defeat. By the end of the first day, the great alien armada was destroyed. Of the 3,000 ships that had threatened Earth, fewer than 200 survived. These were fleeing toward the edge of the solar system. Their crews in panic. Captain Phillips stood on the Liberty's bridge, looking at the tactical display. The space around Earth was filled with wrecked alien vessels. The threat to humanity was over, at least for now. "Commander Foster, what are our casualties?" he asked. "We lost 12 fighter ships and suffered minor damage to 3 destroyers. No major vessels were destroyed. Total human casualties are 43 killed and 97 wounded." Phillips nodded grimly. The price of victory had been surprisingly low. The aliens had paid dearly for underestimating humanity. "Dr. Crawford, how many alien ships did we capture intact?" 74 vessels, including 2 command ships. "We should be able to learn a great deal about their technology and military organization." The news of the battle spread quickly through human space. On Earth, people celebrated in the streets. The alien threat was over. Humanity had defended itself against impossible odds, but Phillips knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy would not ignore what had happened at Earth. Soon, more alien fleets would come. Humanity would need to be ready. "Signal Earth Command," he ordered. "Tell them that Phase 1 is complete. The solar system is secure, but we need to prepare for the next phase. The real war is just beginning." The USS Liberty turned toward Earth. Its mission accomplished. The hidden Supercarrier had stunned the Galactic Empire, just as planned. But the galaxy was a big place, and humanity had made powerful enemies. The battle for Earth was over. The battle for humanity's future was about to begin. The USS Liberty moved through space at incredible speed. Captain Jake Phillips stood on the bridge, watching the fleeing alien ships on his display screen. Less than 200 vessels remained from the original fleet of 3,000. They were running toward the edge of the solar system, hoping to escape and warn the Galactic Council. "Captain," said Commander Amy Foster, "the surviving alien ships are heading for the hyperspace jump point near Pluto. If they reach it, they'll be able to warn their home worlds about our capabilities." Phillips nodded. "That's exactly what we can't allow to happen." The element of surprise is our greatest advantage. If the galaxy learns about our quantum weapons too soon, they'll have time to develop countermeasures. Dr. Lisa Crawford looked up from her science station. Sir, our intelligence suggests that the aliens will try to regroup at the Proxima Centauri system. It's the closest Catherian military base to Earth. How long until they reach the jump point? 6 hours at their current speed, Foster replied. But sir, they're faster than us in hyperspace. Once they jump, we might not be able to catch them. Phillips smiled. That's what they think. Dr. Crawford, how are those new hyperspace drives working? Crawford's eyes lit up. The quantum-enhanced drives are performing beyond expectations. We can travel 3 times faster than any alien ship. They have no idea what we're capable of. For 20 years, Earth scientists had been studying captured alien technology. They had found ways to improve hyperspace travel that the aliens had never imagined. The Liberty and its fleet could jump across the galaxy faster than any other. Ships in existence. All ships, prepare for hyperspace pursuit, Phillips ordered. We're going to catch those aliens before they can spread the word about Earth's defenses. The Liberty's engines glowed brighter as the massive ship accelerated. Behind it, the hidden human fleet followed in perfect formation. They were no longer hiding. The secret was out, and now they had to make sure it didn't spread too far. Admiral Vexthal sat in his damaged command chair aboard the Sword of Dominion. His flagship was barely functioning. The quantum disruption weapons had destroyed most of his ship's systems. Emergency power kept the life support running, but not much else. Status report, he demanded. Sub-Commander Clark H checked his instruments. Admiral, we have 187 ships remaining. Most are severely damaged. The humans destroyed our entire fleet in less than 6 hours. Vexthal couldn't believe it. In his long military career, he had never seen such a complete defeat. The humans had weapons that made alien technology useless. Worse, they had been hiding their true capabilities for decades. How long until we reach the jump point? He asked. 4 hours, sir. Once we're in hyperspace, we can warn the Council about the human threat. Good. The Council must know that Earth is not the weak world we thought. They have advanced technology and the will to use it. The galaxy is in danger. But Vexthal didn't know that the humans were already ahead of him. Earth's intelligence services had been studying alien communication systems for years. They knew exactly where the surviving ships would try to go. Squadron Leader Rick Hayes was flying patrol around the Proxima Centauri system when his sensors picked up the approaching alien fleet. His fighter squadron was hidden behind a small moon, waiting for the enemy to arrive. Control, this is Red Leader, he said over the radio. I have visual on the alien survivors. They're coming in fast, but they look badly damaged. The voice of Captain Phillips came through the radio. Red Leader, do not engage until I give the order. We want to capture as many of those ships as possible. The intelligence they carry is vital. Hayes watched as the alien ships limped into the system. They were trying to reach the Catherian military base on Proxima B. The base was supposed to be heavily defended, but the aliens were in for another surprise. 2 days earlier, a human strike force had captured the base. The aliens manning it had been overwhelmed by quantum disruption weapons. Now the base was under human control, and the surviving alien fleet was flying into another trap. The Liberty emerged from hyperspace just as the alien ships reached the planet. The massive human carrier was followed by 30 other vessels. They surrounded the alien survivors before they could react. Admiral Vexthal, came Phillips' voice over the radio. This is Captain Phillips. You are surrounded and outnumbered. Surrender now, and your crews will be treated as prisoners of war. Vexthal looked at his tactical display in despair. The human ships had somehow arrived before him. They were using hyperspace technology that was far advanced than anything the Cytherians possessed. "How did you get here so fast?" he asked. "Earth has many secrets, Admiral. Surrendering is your only option. Your ships are damaged, and your weapons are useless against our technology." Vexthal knew Phillips was right. His fleet was broken and helpless, but he also knew that surrendering meant the end of his career and possibly his life. The Cytherian Empire did not forgive failure. "I have one last option," he said quietly to Clark H. "Prepare to transmit all our battle data to the Council. It must know what happened here." But the humans were ready for this too. Dr. Crawford had been monitoring alien communications throughout the battle. The moment the alien ships tried to transmit, her quantum disruptors jammed their signals. "Captain," she reported, "the aliens are trying to send a message to their home worlds." "I'm blocking all transmissions." Phillips nodded. "Excellent. Dr. Crawford, I want you to study their communication systems. If we can decode their messages, we might learn about their military plans." The human fleet closed in on the alien survivors. Fighter squadrons surrounded each ship, ready to destroy them if they tried to escape. The aliens had no choice but to surrender. One by one, the alien ships powered down their weapons and engines. Human boarding parties moved in to capture the vessels and take their crews prisoner. The intelligence gathered from these ships would be invaluable, but Phillips knew that more alien fleets would eventually come looking for the missing armada. The Galactic Council would not ignore the loss of 3,000 ships. Earth needed to be ready for the next attack. "Commander Foster," he said, "signal Earth Command. Tell them that Phase 2 is complete. We've captured most of the surviving alien ships and prevented them from warning their home worlds." "What about Phase 3, Captain?" Phillips looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Cytherian Empire was preparing for war. They didn't know about Earth's capabilities yet, but they would soon. When they did, they would send a much larger fleet. Phase 3 is preparation. We need to study the alien technology we've captured. We need to build more ships. And we need to find allies among the other species that the Cytherians have oppressed. Dr. Crawford was already working on the captured alien computers. The information they contained would help Earth prepare for the coming war. Ship designs, weapon specifications, star charts, and military communications were all being analyzed. "Captain," she said excitedly, "I've found something important. The aliens have been planning to conquer dozens of other worlds. Many species. In the galaxy, the Cytherian Empire. If we can contact them, we might be able to build an alliance." Philip smiled. "That's exactly what I was hoping to hear. Earth can't fight the entire galaxy alone. But if we can unite the oppressed species, we might have a chance." The Liberty began the long journey back to Earth. In its cargo bays were 74 captured alien ships. The intelligence they provided would help humanity prepare for the next phase of the war, but Phillips knew that time was running out. Eventually, the Galactic Council would notice that their fleet was missing. When they did, they would send investigators. And when those investigators failed to return, they would send an even larger armada. The battle for Earth was over. The battle for the galaxy was about to begin. Humanity had won the first round by keeping their capabilities secret. But secrets had a way of getting out. The USS Liberty flew through the darkness of space, carrying the hopes and fears of an entire species. The hidden supercarrier had stunned the Galactic Empire, but the Empire was vast and powerful. The real test was still to come. Earth had shown the galaxy that humanity would not be enslaved. Now they had to prove that they could win a war against impossible odds. The future of human freedom depended on it. 3 months after the battle at Earth, the galaxy was a different place. News of the human victory had spread to every corner of known space, despite the Cytherian Empire's attempts to silence it. The species that had seemed weak and harmless had revealed themselves to be the most advanced military force in the galaxy. Captain Jake Phillips stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty, but the ship looked very different now. The massive carrier had been expanded and improved using captured alien technology. Its hangar bays now held fighters from a dozen different species. The crew included humans, Altarians, vegan colonists, and even some former Catherian prisoners who had chosen to join the rebellion. "Captain," reported Commander Amy Foster, "we're receiving messages from 17 different star systems. They're all requesting to join the Terran Alliance." Phillips nodded. The Terran Alliance was humanity's answer to the Galactic Council. Instead of one species ruling over others, it was based on equality and cooperation. Every member species had an equal voice in decisions. "What's the status of our fleet expansion?" he asked. "We now have over 200 ships in the Alliance fleet. The Altarians contributed 30 vessels, the vegans added 25, and the former Catherian colonies provided 47 ships." Dr. Lisa Crawford looked up from her science station. "Captain, the quantum technology integration is proceeding ahead of schedule. We're installing our disruption weapons on all Alliance vessels. Within 6 months, we'll have the most advanced fleet in the galaxy." Phillips smiled. The captured alien technology had been a treasure trove of information. Earth scientists had learned to combine their quantum weapons with alien shield systems and hyperspace drives. The result was ships that were faster, stronger, and more deadly than anything the Catherian Empire possessed. On Earth, President Dan Cooper was meeting with representatives from across the galaxy. The White House had become the unofficial capital of the growing rebellion against Catherian rule. Leaders from dozens of worlds had come to Earth to sign the Alliance Charter. "Mr. President," said Ambassador Kelter of the Altarian Republic, "my people have suffered under Catherian oppression for 300 years. Earth has given us hope that freedom is possible." Cooper nodded. "The Alliance is not about human dominance. It's about all species working together as equals. No one should have to bow to tyranny." The meeting was interrupted by General Bob Turner, who entered the room with urgent news. "Mr. President, our scouts report a massive Catherian fleet gathering in the Rigel system. Intelligence suggests they're preparing for a major offensive against Alliance worlds." Cooper's expression grew serious. "How large is this fleet?" "Over 10,000 ships, sir. It's the largest military force the Empire has ever assembled. They're calling it the Final Solution Fleet." Ambassador Kelter looked worried. 10,000 ships? Even with our advanced weapons, can we fight such numbers? Cooper stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see construction crews working on new defense satellites. Earth had become an armed fortress, protected by the most advanced military technology in the galaxy. "We're not the same species that almost surrendered 3 months ago," he said. "We've learned, we've grown, and we're not alone anymore." Back on the Liberty, Captain Phillips was coordinating the Alliance's response to the Catherian threat. The ship's command center had been expanded to accommodate officers from multiple species. The diversity of the crew was one of the Alliance's greatest strengths. "Admiral Morrison," Phillips said to his superior, who had been promoted after the victory at Earth, "what's our fleet status?" Admiral Kate Morrison studied the tactical display. "We have 237 ships ready for combat. The quantum weapons are installed and tested. Our pilots have been training together for months." "What about intelligence on the Catherian fleet?" "Dr. Crawford has been analyzing their communications. It seems they've learned about our quantum weapons and are trying to develop countermeasures." Dr. Crawford joined the conversation. "The good news is that their technology is still based on the same quantum principles we learned to disrupt. The bad news is that they're trying to modify their shields to resist our weapons." Phillips frowned. "How much time do we have?" "Based On their fleet movements, I estimate 6 weeks before they're ready to attack. But Captain, there's something else. Our spy network has discovered that several Cytherian worlds are considering rebellion. The news of our victory has inspired uprising across the Empire. This was the moment Phillips had been waiting for. The Alliance was not just about defending Earth. It was about freeing the entire galaxy from Cytherian oppression. "Signal all Alliance commanders," he ordered. "It's time for Operation Liberation. We're going to take the fight to the enemy." The plan was bold and dangerous. Instead of waiting for the Cytherian fleet to attack, the Alliance would strike first. They would hit key Cytherian military bases while supporting rebellions on oppressed worlds. Squadron leader Rick Hayes was briefing his pilots in the Liberty's main hangar. His squadron now included fighters from 6 different species, but they had trained together until they fought as one unit. "Listen up, everyone," he said to the mixed group of human, Altarian, and vegan pilots. "We're going to hit the Cytherian shipyards at Arcturus. These yards produce half of their military vessels. If we can destroy them, we'll cripple their ability to build new ships." A young Altarian pilot raised her hand. "Squadron leader, what about the defense platforms around Arcturus?" Hayes smiled. "That's where our quantum weapons give us the advantage. Those platforms can't function without their shield generators. One quantum pulse, and they'll be sitting ducks." The mission launched 2 days later. The Liberty led a fleet of 50 ships toward the Arcturus system. It was the deepest penetration into Cytherian space that any enemy force had ever attempted. The attack was a complete surprise. The Cytherian defenders had no warning before quantum disruption weapons shut down their defenses. Within hours, the massive shipyards were destroyed. Thousands of partially built warships were reduced to scrap metal. But the real victory came from an unexpected source. As the Alliance fleet prepared to withdraw, they received a transmission from the planet's surface. "Alliance ships. This is General Vortak of the Cytherian Planetary Defense Force. We are tired of serving an empire that treats us as slaves. We wish to join your alliance." Phillips couldn't believe what he was hearing. Cytherians themselves were rebelling against their own empire. The revolution was spreading faster than anyone had imagined. Over the following weeks, more Cytherian worlds declared independence. The empire that had ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years was falling apart from within. Species that had been enslaved for centuries were rising up and demanding freedom. A final solution. Fleet never launched its attack. Half of the ships defected to the Alliance, while the other half was destroyed by rebellions within the Cytherian military. The Empire's power was broken. 6 months after the battle at Earth, the Galactic Council was dissolved. In its place, the Terran Alliance established a new government based on democratic principles. Every species, no matter how small or weak, had an equal voice in galactic affairs. Captain Phillips stood on the Liberty's observation deck, looking out at the stars. The ship was now the flagship of the Alliance fleet, a symbol of what could be achieved when different species worked together. "Captain," said Dr. Crawford, joining him at the window, "the quantum communication network is now online. Every Alliance world can communicate instantly with every other world. Distance is no longer a barrier to cooperation." Phillips nodded. "It's amazing how much can change in such a short time. 6 months ago, Earth was facing conquest. Now we're leading a galactic revolution. Do you think it will last?" Crawford asked. "Can this alliance really work?" Phillips thought about all the species working together aboard the Liberty. Humans, Altarians, vegans, reformed Cytherians, and dozens of others. They had different cultures and beliefs, but they shared a common goal: freedom. "It will work because it has to," he said. "The alternative is tyranny. The galaxy has seen what happens when one species tries to rule all others. We won't let that happen again." The USS Liberty continued its patrol through Alliance space. The hidden supercarrier that had once defended a single world now protected an entire galaxy. Earth's secret weapon had become a symbol of hope for billions of beings across the stars. The Catherian Empire was finished, but the work of building a free galaxy had just begun. There would be challenges ahead, conflicts to resolve, and new threats to face. But for the first time in galactic history, all species would face them together as equals. Humanity had shown the galaxy that there was an alternative to conquest and oppression. The age of empires was over. The age of the Alliance had begun. And at its heart was the principle that Earth had always believed in, that all beings had the right to be free. The stars themselves seemed brighter as the Liberty sailed through space, carrying the hopes of 1,000 worlds toward a future where freedom was not just a human dream, but a galactic reality. Captain Jake Miller stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance and tried not to look embarrassed. The ship was supposed to be humanity's newest warship, but it looked like a joke. The hull was made of different colored metal patches that didn't match. Some parts were shiny silver, others were dull gray, and a few sections were painted bright yellow for reasons no one could explain. The bridge smelled like burnt coffee and engine oil. Every few minutes, something would beep or buzz in a way. That sounded wrong. The main screen flickered constantly, showing static lines that made it hard to read anything clearly. Jake had to squint to make out the star charts. "Sir, we're getting another message from the Galactic Defense Council," said Communications Officer Danny Walsh. He was a young man with messy brown hair who always looked worried. "They want to know if we're really ready for patrol duty." Jake sighed. "Tell them we're fine, Danny. Just fine." But they weren't fine, and everyone knew it. The Defiance had been the subject of jokes across the entire galaxy for 3 months now. Ever since the ship had been launched, alien news reports had been making fun of it. Some called it the human junk pile. Others said it was proof that humans shouldn't be allowed to build spaceships. The worst part was that Jake couldn't really argue with them. When he first saw the Defiance, he thought someone was playing a prank on him. The ship looked like it. Had been built by children using spare parts from a junkyard. The engines made weird noises. The weapons looked like they had been installed backwards. Even the toilets didn't work properly. "Captain," said Engineer Sam Rodriguez, walking onto the bridge. Sam was a short, stocky man with grease stains on his uniform. "The port engine is making that sound again." "What sound?" Jake asked. "The one that sounds like a dying whale." Jake rubbed his forehead. "Can you fix it?" "I can try, but honestly, I'm not sure how any of this stuff works. The wiring doesn't make sense. The power systems are all mixed up. And don't get me started on the gravity generator." As if on cue, the artificial gravity flickered. For a moment, everyone on the bridge felt weightless. Danny's coffee cup floated past Jake's head. Then gravity came back, and everything crashed. "Down." "Sorry," Sam said. "I'll go work on that." Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. They were good people, but they all looked tired and frustrated. Weapons Officer Katie Brown was trying to fix a control panel that kept sparking. Pilot Amy Johnson was fighting with the steering controls, which seemed to have a mind of their own. Medical Officer Dr. Ben Torres was treating a crew member who had been shocked by a faulty door panel. "Sir," Danny said, "Admiral Lisa Carter wants to speak with you." Jake nodded. "Put her through." Admiral Carter appeared on the flickering main screen. She was a stern woman with gray hair and tired eyes. Behind her, Jake could see the clean, modern bridge of her ship, the USS Enterprise. Everything looked perfect and professional. It made Jake feel even worse about his own ship. "Captain Miller," Admiral Carter said, "I have your new assignment." "Yes." "Ma'am, you're being sent to patrol the Outer Rim Sector 7G? It's a quiet area. Nothing much happens there. Jake understood what she wasn't saying. They were being sent to the middle of nowhere because no one wanted them anywhere important. The outer rim was where they sent ships that couldn't handle real missions. "We'll do our best, Admiral," Jake said. "I'm sure you will, Captain. Just try not to embarrass us too much out there." The screen went black. Jake stood there for a moment, feeling the weight of command. His ship was a disaster. His crew was struggling, and the entire galaxy was laughing at them. But they were still human, and they still had a job to do. "All right, people," Jake said loudly. "You heard the Admiral. We're heading to the outer rim. Amy, set course for Sector 7G. "Aye, Captain," Amy said. She pressed some buttons, and the ship lurched forward. The engines made a sound like someone gargling gravel dot as they flew away from Earth. Jake watched his home planet shrink in the distance. He thought about all the people down there who were counting on them. They might have the ugliest ship in the galaxy, but it was their ship. And maybe, just maybe, they could prove that it wasn't completely useless. 3 hours later, they were deep in space when Danny picked up something on the sensors. "Captain, I'm detecting a ship nearby. It's a Centauri cruiser." Jake had heard of the Centauri. They were one of the more advanced alien races, known for their beautiful, sleek ships and their arrogant attitudes. Their cruisers were works of art, with smooth curves and gleaming surfaces that looked like they had been carved from a single piece of crystal. "Are they hostile?" Jake asked. "I don't think so, sir. They're just ... they're laughing." "Laughing?" "Yes. Sir, they're broadcasting on all frequencies. Listen." Danny turned up the volume. The bridge filled with the sound of alien laughter. It was high-pitched and musical, but definitely mocking. "This is Captain Zethera of the Centauri vessel Starlight," came a voice through the static. "We have detected what appears to be a human warship, though we must admit, we are having difficulty believing our sensors." "Is this some kind of joke?" Jake felt his face turn red. "Open a channel, Danny." "Channel open, sir." "This is Captain Jake Miller of the USS Defiance. We are on routine patrol." The laughter got louder. "USS Defiance? That pile of scrap metal is named Defiance? Oh, this is wonderful. Wait until we tell the others. The humans have actually put that thing into space and called it a warship." Jake gritted his teeth. "We are a fully operational vessel of the Human Defense Force." "Of course you are," Captain Zethera said, still laughing. "Well, we wish you luck, Captain. Try not to fall apart before you reach your destination." The Centauri ship moved away, its beautiful hull gleaming in the starlight. Jake watched it go, feeling angry and embarrassed. But as he looked around at his crew, he saw something that surprised him. They weren't looking defeated. They were looking determined. "Sir," Sam said quietly, "I've been thinking about something." "What's that?" "This ship. It's weird, but it works. I mean, it shouldn't work, but it does. Maybe that means something?" Jake nodded slowly. Maybe Sam was right. Maybe there was more to the Defiance than met the eye. Maybe being different wasn't always bad thing. "All right, people," Jake said. "Let's show this galaxy what humans can do." 2 days later, the USS Defiance was cruising through empty space when Danny Walsh suddenly sat up straight at his station. "Captain, I'm picking up something big on the sensors." "Multiple ships, sir." Jake Miller looked up from the reports he was reading. "How many ships?" "A lot, sir. I count at least 20 vessels. They're in 2 groups, facing each other." Jake stood up and walked over to the main screen. Through the static and flickering lines, he could make out the shapes of warships in the distance. They were beautiful and deadly, nothing like his own ship. "Those are Crothan Empire ships on the left," said Science Officer Rachel Green. She was a quiet woman with blonde hair who knew more about alien technology than anyone else. On the ship, the ones on the right are from the Vex Collective. Jake nodded. He had heard of both groups. The Kraken were known for their massive, powerful warships that looked like flying fortresses. The Vex were famous for their advanced technology and ships that seemed to be made of pure energy. "What are they doing?" Jake asked. "They're just sitting there, sir," Danny said. "But their weapons are charged. I think they're getting ready to fight." Jake watched the two fleets through the screen. The Kraken ships were dark and angular, with big guns pointing at their enemies. The Vex ships were smooth and bright, humming with power. Both groups looked like they could destroy the Defiance without even trying. "Sir," said pilot Amy Johnson, "maybe we should go around them. This looks like it's going to be a big battle." Amy was right. The smart thing would be to avoid the fight entirely. But Jake found himself thinking about the Centauri captain who had laughed at them. He was tired of running away and hiding. "No," Jake said. "We're going in." Everyone on the bridge stared at him. "Sir?" Amy said. "Are you sure? These are our patrol sectors. If there's going to be a war here, we need to stop it." "But Captain," Danny said, "they'll destroy us." "We don't stand a chance against fleets like that." Jake looked around at his crew. They all looked scared, and he didn't blame them. But they also looked ready to follow him, even if it meant flying into certain death. "Amy, take us in." "Nice and slow." "Aye, sir." The Defiance began moving toward the two fleets. As they got closer, Jake could see how truly massive the alien ships were. The smallest Kraken vessel was twice the size of the Defiance. The largest Vex ship was so big it looked like a small moon. "Sir, we're being scanned," Danny said. "Both fleets are trying to figure out what we are. Open a channel to both groups." Jake ordered. "Channel open, sir." "This is Captain Jake Miller of the USS Defiance. You are in human patrol space. I need both fleets to power down weapons and explain what you're doing here." There was silence for a moment. Then both frequencies exploded with alien voices. "Human vessel, you will leave immediately," came a deep, growling voice from the Kraken fleet. "This is not your concern." "Little human ship, you are in great danger," said a musical voice from the Vex fleet. "Our weapons will destroy you by accident. Please go away." Jake ignored them both and kept the Defiance moving forward. He was flying the ship directly between the two fleets, right into the middle of the standoff. "Captain, this is insane," whispered Weapons Officer Katie Brown. "We're going to die." "Maybe," Jake said, "but we're going to make it count." Just then, something strange happened. The ship's communication system started making weird noises. It was the same system that had been giving Danny trouble for weeks. Now it was making electronic screeching sounds that hurt everyone's ears. "Danny, turn that off," Jake said. "I'm trying, sir, but it's not responding. The system is overloading." The screeching got louder. Then it suddenly stopped, and everything went quiet. Too quiet. "Sir," Danny said, staring at his instruments, "I think we just jammed everyone's communications." "What?" "Both fleets, sir. They can't talk to each other anymore, or to their own ships." Jake looked at the screen. The alien ships were still there, but they seemed confused. Some were turning in circles. Others were flashing lights at each other, trying to communicate. "That's not all," Rachel said, checking her science station. "Look at this. Our energy signature is doing something weird to their sensors. They can't get a clear reading on us." Jake watched as the Defiance continued flying between the two fleets. The alien ships were trying to target his vessel, but their weapons kept moving around, unable to lock on. It was like the ship was invisible to their advanced targeting systems. "Amy," Jake said, "what's wrong with the engines?" "Nothing's wrong, sir. They're just doing what they always do. The engines were making their usual grinding, whining noises. But now Jake realized that the sound was confusing the alien ships. They couldn't tell which direction the Defiance was going because the engine noise was bouncing off everything. "Sir," Katie said, "I think their computers are having trouble understanding us." She was right. The alien ships were built to fight other alien ships. They were designed to handle predictable weapons, orderly formations, and logical tactics. But the Defiance wasn't logical. It was chaotic, unpredictable, and completely wrong by every standard of space warfare. A Krathen battleship fired a warning shot that was meant to pass in front of the Defiance. But the ship's wonky navigation system made it change direction at the last second, and the shot went wide. The blast hit a Vex cruiser instead. Immediately, the Vex ships began firing back. But their targeting systems were still confused by the Defiance's presence. Their energy beams went in all directions, hitting Krathen ships, asteroids, and empty space. The battle that followed was unlike anything Jake had ever seen. The two most advanced military forces in the galaxy were shooting at each other, but they couldn't hit anything. Every time they tried to target the Defiance, their weapons would malfunction or miss completely. "Sir," Sam Rodriguez said over the communication system from the engine room, "whatever's happening up there, keep doing it. The ship's systems are working better than they ever have before." It was true. The Defiance was flying through the battle like it belonged there. The gravity generator was stable. The weapons were responding properly. Even the toilets were working. "Captain," Danny said, "both fleets are trying to retreat. They can't fight effectively with us here." Jake watched as the alien ships began pulling back. The Krathen vessels were backing away slowly, their weapons still pointing at the Vex fleet. The Vex ships were moving in a graceful formation, but they were definitely leaving. "Sir, we're getting messages from both fleets," Danny said. "They want to know what kind of technology we're using." "What should I tell them?" Jake thought for a moment. "Tell them it's classified." As the alien fleets disappeared into hyperspace, Jake sat down in his captain's chair. His crew was staring at him with a mixture of amazement and confusion. "Sir," Amy said, "what just happened?" "I'm not sure," Jake said, "but whatever it was, it worked." Rachel was studying her readings. "Captain, I think I understand. Our ship doesn't work like their ships. Their computers can't predict what we're going to do because we don't follow their rules." "You mean we're too stupid for their smart systems to understand?" "Not stupid, sir. Different. We think differently. We build differently. And we fight differently." Jake nodded. Maybe that was it. Maybe being the worst ship in the galaxy was actually an advantage. Maybe being unpredictable was better than being perfect. "All right, people," Jake said. "Let's continue our patrol, and let's see what else this old ship can do." As the Defiance flew away from the battle site, Jake couldn't help but smile. They had just stopped a war between two of the most powerful fleets in the galaxy, and they had done it by accident. Maybe the Defiance wasn't so useless after all. Word traveled fast in the galaxy. Within a week, every alien government knew about the strange human ship that had somehow stopped the battle between the Krathen Empire and the Vex Collective. But they didn't understand what had really happened. Captain Jake Miller was reading intelligence reports in his quarters when Security Chief Ryan Lee knocked on his door. "Come in, Ryan." Ryan Lee was a tall, serious man who rarely smiled. He had been a soldier before joining the crew of the Defiance, and he always expected the worst. "Captain, we have a problem," Ryan said. "A big one." "What kind of problem?" "The kind that wants to kill us." Ryan handed Jake a datapad. "Intelligence says there's a bounty on our ship. Every criminal organization in the galaxy thinks we're carrying some kind of secret weapon." Jake read the report. The bounty was huge, enough money to buy a small planet. Worse, it had been posted by someone called Kethmer, a void stalker who was famous for never failing to collect his bounties. A void stalker? Jake said. I thought they were just stories. They're real, sir, and they're very dangerous. Kethmer has been hunting ships for over 100 years. He's never been caught, and he's never failed to complete a job. Jake put down the datapad. What does he want with us? He thinks we have advanced human weapons technology, the kind that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. But we don't have any advanced weapons. Our weapons barely work at all. Try telling him that, sir. Jake stood up and walked to the window of his quarters. Outside, he could see the stars and the endless darkness of space. Somewhere out there, a legendary killer was hunting his ship. How good are void stalkers? Jake asked. The best, sir. They have ships that can turn invisible. They can track any vessel in the galaxy. And they never give up. Well, Jake said, I guess we'll find out how good our luck really is. 2 hours later, Jake was back on the bridge when everything went wrong at once. The lights flickered, the computer system started beeping warnings, and the main screen showed static. What's happening? Jake asked. Sir, all our systems are going crazy, said Danny Walsh from his communication station. It's like something is interfering with our electronics. Science Officer Rachel Green was working frantically at her station. Captain, I'm detecting a massive energy signature nearby, but I can't pinpoint the location. Could it be another ship? Maybe, sir. But if it is, it's using technology I've never seen before. Jake looked around the bridge. His crew was working hard, but they all looked confused and worried. Then he noticed something strange. The ship's weird sensors, the ones that never worked properly, were showing something different. Rachel, look at the backup sensors, the ones that are always broken. Rachel checked the readings. Sir, they're showing something. A large object, about 2 kilometers off our starboard side. But the main sensors don't show anything there. That's right, sir. It's like something is there, but it's invisible to our normal equipment. Jake understood. It's a cloaked ship, a void stalker ship. As if responding to his words, the space in front of them began to shimmer. Slowly, a massive black ship became visible. It was long and sleek, with no lights or markings. It looked like a piece of the night sky had come to life. This is Kethmer, came a cold voice over the communication system. Human vessel, you will. Surrender immediately. I am here to claim the advanced weapons you carry. We don't have any advanced weapons, Jake said into his microphone. Do not lie to me, human. My information is reliable. Your ship stopped a battle between 2 major fleets. Only advanced technology could accomplish such a feat. It was an accident. Accidents do not stop wars, Captain Miller. You will surrender, or I will take your ship by force. Jake looked at his crew. They were all watching him, waiting for orders. He could surrender and try to explain that they didn't have any secret weapons. But he doubted Kethmer would believe him. The Void Stalker would probably tear the ship apart, looking for technology that didn't exist. All right, people, Jake said. Battle stations. The crew jumped into action. Katie Brown powered up the weapon systems. Amy Johnson took control of the ship's movement. Ryan Lee activated the defensive systems. Everyone was scared, but they were ready to fight. Sir, Katie said, our weapons are no match for that ship. Void Stalker vessels are supposed to be nearly indestructible. Maybe, Jake said. But they've never fought anything like us before. The battle began when Kethmer's ship fired a single energy blast. It was meant to disable the Defiance's engines, but something went wrong. The ship's misaligned power grid caused the blast to bounce off the hull and scatter in all directions. What? Came Kethmer's voice. Impossible. Your ship should be disabled. Sir, Sam Rodriguez said over the communication system. I don't know how, but our power systems just absorbed most of that blast. We're actually running better than before. Jake smiled. Fire back, Katie. Katie pressed the firing button. The Defiance's weapons were old, mismatched, and poorly aimed. But that was exactly what made them effective. The energy blasts went in directions that no computer could predict. Some hit Kethmer's ship. Others bounced off asteroids and hit the ship from behind. This is not possible, Kethmer said. My ship's defenses are perfect. Perfect against normal weapons, Jake said. But we're not normal. The battle continued for 20 minutes. Kethmer's ship was faster, stronger, and more advanced in every way. But it couldn't handle the Defiance's unpredictable fighting style. The Void Stalker's computers couldn't calculate where the human ship would go next because the ship didn't follow any logical pattern. Sir, Amy said, I'm not really flying this ship anymore. It's like it knows where it wants to go. She was right. The Defiance was moving through space like it had a mind of its own. The engines were working in harmony for the first time since the ship was built. The navigation system was making impossible turns that should have torn the ship apart. Rachel, Jake said, what's happening to us? I think the ship is adapting, sir. All these systems that seemed broken are actually working together. It's like the ship was designed to fight this way. Navigation Officer Chris Park was studying his instruments. Captain, look at this. The ship's movement pattern, it's not random. There's a pattern, but it's based on human intuition, not computer logic. Jake watched as the Defiance continued its strange dance around Kethmer's ship. The Void Stalker was trying everything, but nothing worked. His advanced weapons couldn't lock onto a target that moved like a living thing. His perfect defenses couldn't stop weapons that fired in impossible directions. Sir, Danny said, Kethmer is trying to retreat. His ship is badly damaged. Let him go, Jake said. We've made our point. But as Kethmer's ship limped away, Jake heard the Void Stalker's voice one last time. This is not over, human. I will report what I have seen. The galaxy will know that your species has weaponized chaos itself. You have made enemies of powers you cannot imagine. The communication ended, and Kethmer's ship disappeared into hyperspace. Jake sat down in his captain's chair, feeling exhausted. They had won, but at what cost? Now the entire galaxy would think that humanity had some kind of superweapon. Sir, Rachel said, I've been analyzing the battle data. I think I understand what's happening. What is it? The ship isn't broken, sir. It's designed differently. Every system that we thought was a mistake, it's actually part of a bigger plan. The ship works the way humans think, not the way aliens think. Jake nodded. So we're not incompetent. We're just different. Very different, sir. And apparently, that makes us very dangerous. As the Defiance continued its patrol, Jake couldn't help but wonder what would happen next. They had started as the joke of the galaxy, but now they were becoming something else entirely. They were becoming something that other species feared. He just hoped they could handle whatever came next. The next week brought news that made Captain Jake Miller's blood run cold. Intelligence reports were flooding in from across the galaxy. 3 different alien governments had put massive bounties on the USS Defiance. Criminal organizations were hiring mercenaries. Even peaceful trading companies were avoiding human space. Jake stood in the ship's small briefing room with his senior officers. The walls were covered with star charts and intelligence reports. Every piece of information said the same thing. They were in serious trouble. The Ethereal Republic has declared us a threat to galactic peace, said Security Chief Ryan Lee. They're sending their best destroyers. A Goliath Federation is calling us a weapon of mass destruction, added Science Officer Rachel Green. They have 5 battleships heading our way. And the Razor Syndicate just wants the bounty money, said Communications Officer Danny Walsh. They're sending everything they have. Jake looked at the numbers on the screen. 50 ships total. All of them faster, stronger, and more advanced than the Defiance. It was the largest military force assembled in decades, and it was all coming for them. Sir, said Weapons Officer Katie Brown, with respect, we should run. We can't fight 50 ships. Where would we go? Jake asked. They'll find us eventually. Maybe we could surrender, suggested pilot Amy Johnson. Try to explain that we don't have any secret weapons. They won't believe us, Ryan said. Not after what happened with Kethmer. The whole galaxy thinks we have some kind of super technology. Jake walked to the window and looked out at the stars. In a few hours, those stars would be filled with enemy ships. Ships that wanted to destroy them or capture them. Ships that would never believe the truth about the Defiance. All right, Jake said. If we're going to fight, we need to be smart. About it. Rachel, what do we know about their ships? Rachel pulled up technical data on the main screen. The ethereal destroyers are fast and elegant. They rely on speed and precision. The Goliath battleships are massive and powerful. They use overwhelming firepower. The Razor frigates are small but deadly. They attack in swarms. And they're all coming here at the same time? Yes, sir. Intelligence suggests they're planning a coordinated attack. They want to make sure we can't escape. Jake nodded. That might be their mistake. Amy, can this ship handle multiple enemy groups at once? I don't know, sir. The engines are working better than before, but 50 ships is a lot. We'll find out soon enough, Jake said. Everyone to battle stations. This is going to be the fight of our lives. 2 hours later, the enemy fleets arrived. Jake watched from the bridge as dozens of alien ships dropped out of hyperspace. They formed a perfect sphere around the Defiance, with no gaps for escape. The ethereal destroyers were beautiful, like flying works of art. They moved in graceful formations, their hulls gleaming silver in the starlight. The Goliath battleships were massive gray fortresses, bristling with weapons. The Razor frigates looked like angry insects, darting around the larger ships. Sir, Danny said, they're hailing us. Put them through. The main screen split into 3 sections. In the first was an ethereal commander with pale blue skin and large, dark eyes. In the second was a Goliath captain who looked like he was carved from stone. In the third was a Razor leader wearing a mask that covered his entire face. Human vessel, said the ethereal commander. You are surrounded. Surrender your advanced weapons, and we will consider showing mercy. There are no advanced weapons, Jake said. Our ship is just different from yours. Different enough to defeat. A Void Stalker, said the Goliath captain. Different enough to stop a war between major powers. You cannot fool us with lies. This is your last warning, said the Razor leader. Surrender or be destroyed. Jake looked around his bridge. His crew was ready, but they were scared. He didn't blame them. 50 against 1 were impossible odds. I guess we'll have to agree to disagree, Jake said. The screen went black. For a moment, everything was quiet. Then all 50 enemy ships opened fire at once. The space around the Defiance exploded with energy beams, plasma bolts, and missile trails. It was the most intense firepower Jake had ever seen. Any normal ship would have been destroyed instantly. But the Defiance wasn't normal, Dot. The first thing that happened was that the ship's power systems overloaded. But instead of shutting down, they began working in a way that Sam Rodriguez had never seen before. The energy from the enemy attacks was being absorbed and redirected through the ship's chaotic wiring. Sir, Sam said over the communication system, I don't understand what's happening, but we're getting stronger. The enemy fire is powering our systems. That's impossible, Jake said. I know, sir, but look at the readings. We're running at 150% capacity, and everything is working perfectly. Jake looked at his instruments. Sam was right. The ship was performing better than it ever had. The engines were smooth and powerful. The weapons were responding instantly. Even the artificial gravity was stable. Sir, Amy said, I'm not really flying this ship anymore. It's like it knows what to do. The Defiance began to move in ways that defied physics. It was making turns that should have been impossible. It was accelerating and stopping so quickly that the crew should have been crushed by the forces involved. But somehow, the ship's strange design was protecting them. Katie, Jake said, return fire. Katie activated the weapon systems. The Defiance's guns fired in all directions, but not randomly. Each shot was aimed at a specific target, but the weapons were firing in patterns that no alien computer could predict. The enemy fleets were in perfect formations, which had always been their strength. But now it became their weakness. The Defiance's chaotic weapon fire was bouncing off asteroids, reflecting off the hulls of other ships, and finding targets from impossible angles. Sir, Rachel said, their formation is breaking up. They can't maintain coordination while trying to track us. Jake watched as the perfect sphere of enemy ships began to fall apart. The ethereal destroyers were trying to use their speed to catch the Defiance, but the ship was moving too unpredictably. The Goliath battleships were firing their massive guns, but the shots kept missing. The Razor frigates were swarming around, but they kept getting in each other's way. Sir, Danny said, they're trying to communicate with each other, but our systems are interfering with their signals. It was true. The Defiance's communication array was still malfunctioning, just like it always had. But now the malfunction was jamming the enemy's coordination systems. The 50 ships couldn't work together because they couldn't talk to each other. The battle continued for an hour. The alien ships were getting more and more frustrated. They had superior numbers, superior weapons, and superior technology. But none of it mattered because they couldn't predict what the Defiance would do next. Sir, Supply Officer Tony Adams said from his station, we're running low on ammunition. How low? About 10% left, sir. Jake thought fast. They couldn't keep fighting much longer. But they didn't need to win. They just needed to survive long enough to make a point. All right, Jake said. Let's end this. Amy, take us straight up. Full power. Sir, you heard me. Straight up. Let's see how fast this old ship can really go. Amy pressed the controls, and the Defiance shot upward like a rocket. The sudden acceleration should have turned the crew into paste, but the ships. Gravity systems compensated perfectly. The enemy ships followed, but they were still in their broken formations. They were getting in each other's way, bumping into each other, and generally making a mess of their attack. Now, Katie, Jake said, fire everything we have left. Katie emptied the ship's remaining weapons in a single massive barrage. The shots went in every direction, creating a web of energy that surrounded the enemy fleets. Most of the shots missed, but that was the point. The alien ships were so busy avoiding the weapons fire that they flew into each other. When the smoke cleared, half the enemy fleet was damaged or disabled. The other half was scattered across the star system, no longer able to coordinate their attacks. Sir, Danny said, we're getting surrender requests from 12 ships. The others are retreating. Jake sat back in his chair, exhausted. They had done it. They had fought 50 ships and won. Not because they were stronger or faster or more advanced, but because they were different. Sir, Rachel said, I'm detecting emergency beacons from the damaged ships. They need help. Jake nodded. Danny, send out rescue signals. Tell any nearby ships to come help with the wounded. Sir, Ryan said. Are you sure? These people were trying to kill us. They were doing their job, Ryan, just like we were doing ours. Now they need help. As rescue ships began arriving to help the damaged alien vessels, Jake received messages from the surviving enemy commanders. But these messages were different from before. They weren't angry or threatening. They were confused and respectful. Human. Captain, said the ethereal commander, we do not understand what has happened here. Your ship defied every law of space combat we know. We fought with honor, said the Goliath captain. We have never seen such tactics. You have earned our respect. Your ship is truly unique, said the Razor leader. We withdraw our bounty. This battle has taught us that humans are not to be underestimated. Jake felt a mix of pride and worry. They had won a great victory, but what would happen next? Word of this battle would spread across the galaxy. Eve. 1 month after the great battle, Captain Jake Miller found himself sitting in a meeting room on Earth. Around the table were admirals, generals, and politicians who all wanted to understand what had happened with the USS Defiance. The room was clean and modern, everything the Defiance was not. The walls were white, the furniture was perfect, and everyone wore spotless uniforms. Jake felt out of place in his patched and oil-stained captain's jacket. Captain Miller, said Admiral Lisa. Carter, your ship has created quite a stir in the galactic community. Every alien government wants to know how we built a vessel that can defeat their best warships. We didn't build it to defeat anyone, Mom, Jake said. We just built it to work. But it doesn't work, said General Marcus Stone, a stern man with gray hair. According to every report, your ship is a disaster. Nothing functions properly. That's where you're wrong, sir, Jake said. Everything functions exactly as it was designed to function. The room fell silent. Everyone stared at Jake, waiting for him to explain. The truth is, Jake continued, the Defiance was never meant to be like other ships. It was built by humans, for humans, using human thinking. Dr. Elena Vasquez, the lead engineer who had designed the ship, stood up from her chair. She was an older woman with kind eyes and graying hair. She had been quiet during most of the meeting, but now she looked ready to speak. May I explain, Admiral? Dr. Vasquez asked. Please do, Doctor. Dr. Vasquez walked to the front of the room and activated a holographic display. Images of the Defiance appeared, showing its strange design and mismatched systems. 5 years ago, when we were asked to design humanity's first major warship, we had a choice, she said. We could copy alien designs that were proven to work, or we could create something uniquely human. And you chose to be different, Admiral Carter said. Double quotes, yes, ma'am. You see, alien ships are built on logic, efficiency, and predictability. They work perfectly, but only within expected parameters. When something unexpected happens, they struggle to adapt. Dr. Vasquez changed the display to show technical diagrams of the ship's systems. The Defiance was designed around human strengths. Humans are creative, adaptable, and intuitive. We don't always follow logical patterns, and we're very good at finding solutions to impossible problems. So you made the ship chaotic on purpose? General Stone asked. Not chaotic, sir. Flexible. Every system on the Defiance can work in multiple ways. The power grid can reroute itself automatically. The engines can change their output pattern. The weapons can fire in any direction. The ship learns and adapts. Jake nodded. That's why it worked so well in battle. The alien computers couldn't predict what we would do because we weren't following their rules. But the ship looks like a disaster, said Admiral Carter. That was intentional too, Dr. Vasquez said. We wanted other species to underestimate U.S. While they were laughing at our ugly ship, they weren't paying attention to what it could really do. The room was quiet for a moment as everyone processed this information. "Doctor," said a politician named Senator Williams, "are you telling us that you deliberately made our warship look incompetent?" "Yes, sir, and it worked better than we hoped." Jake stood up. "If I may, Admiral, I'd like to add something." "Oh." "Ahead, Captain. The crew of the Defiance learned something important during our missions. We learned that being different isn't a weakness. It's a strength. When everyone else in the galaxy builds ships the same way, thinks the same way, and fights the same way, being different gives you a huge advantage." "But surely other species will adapt," General Stone said. "They'll learn to fight against our tactics." "Maybe," Jake said, "but they'll be adapting to fight the old Defiance. By then, we'll have moved on to something new." Dr. Vasquez smiled. "That's the beauty of the human approach, General. We don't just adapt to new situations. We create new situations." Admiral Carter leaned forward. "What are you suggesting, Doctor?" "I'm suggesting that we stop trying to build ships like aliens and start building ships like humans. Every vessel should be unique, unpredictable, and adaptive. No two ships should work exactly the same way." "That would be a logistics nightmare," Senator Williams said. "But it would also be militarily brilliant," Jake added. "Imagine a fleet where every ship fights differently, where no enemy computer can predict what any of our vessels will do next." The meeting continued for hours, but Jake could see that the officials were beginning to understand. The Defiance hadn't succeeded despite being different. It had succeeded because it was different. 3 weeks later, Jake was back on the bridge of the Defiance. The ship looked the same as ever, with its mismatched hull and quirky systems. But now Jake saw it differently. He saw it as it really was, a masterpiece of human engineering. "Sir," said Communications Officer Danny Walsh, "we're getting a message from the Galactic Defense Council." "Put it through, Danny." The main screen flickered to life, showing Ambassador Zara Chun, humanity's representative to the galactic government. She was a sharp, intelligent woman who had been working to improve human relations with alien species. "Captain Miller," Ambassador Chun said, "I have news. The Galactic Defense Council has voted to offer humanity a new position in galactic affairs." "What kind of position, Mom?" "They want us to serve as peacekeepers and mediators." "Apparently, our ability to resolve conflicts through unconventional means has impressed them." Jake smiled. "What did you tell them?" "I told them I'd have to ask the crew of the Defiance. After all, you're the ones who proved what humans can accomplish." Jake looked around his bridge. His crew was listening to every word, and they all looked proud but determined. "We accept, ma'am," Jake said. "But on one condition." "What's that, Captain?" "We do things our way. No copying alien methods. No following their rules. We solve problems the human way." Ambassador Chun laughed. "I wouldn't expect anything else from the crew of the most idiotic warship in the galaxy." After the transmission ended, Jake walked to the window of the bridge. Outside, he could see other human ships beginning their patrols. Each one was different from the others, built with the same philosophy as the Defiance. Some looked even stranger than his ship, which he hadn't thought was possible. "Sir," said Science Officer Rachel Green, "we're receiving our first peacekeeping assignment. Where are we going?" "The Antares system. There's a dispute between 3 alien factions, and normal diplomacy isn't working." "Of course it isn't." Jake said, "Normal diplomacy follows rules. Send a message to all 3 factions. Tell them the humans are coming, and we don't follow anybody's rules." As the USS Defiance changed course toward the Antares system, Jake felt a deep sense of satisfaction. They had started as the joke of the galaxy, but they had become something much more important. They had become proof that humanity's greatest strength was its refusal to be like everyone else. The ship still looked ridiculous. The engines still made weird noises. A system still worked in ways that made no sense to alien engineers. But now everyone knew the truth. Sometimes the most idiotic approach was actually the most brilliant. "All right, people," Jake said to his crew, "let's go show the galaxy what humans do best." "What's that, sir?" asked pilot Amy Johnson. "The impossible," Jake said with a grin dot as the Defiance flew through space toward its new mission. Every alien ship it passed gave it plenty of room. Word had spread throughout the galaxy about the strange human vessel that had changed the rules of space warfare. Some called it the most dangerous ship in the galaxy. Others called it a miracle of engineering. But everyone agreed on one thing. They had never seen anything like it, and they hoped they never would again. The USS Defiance continued on its way, looking just as stupid and impossible as ever. But appearances, as the galaxy had learned, could be very deceiving, especially when humans were involved. In the depths of space, Captain Jake Miller and his crew were ready for whatever came next. After all, they had the most idiotic warship in the galaxy. And as everyone now knew, that made them absolutely unstoppable.